Welcome to Dark Feed, where once you find the feed, it finds you. I was broke. I mean, eating instant ramen 3 times a day broke. My car insurance had lapsed, rent was 2 weeks late, and my phone had 4% battery left because I couldn't afford a new charger. So when I saw the Craigslist post, I didn't hesitate. It read, "Night cleaning help needed, 1 night only, $500 cash, no questions. Remote property, transportation provided. Discretion a must." Normally, I'd roll my eyes and scroll past. Sounded like bait, but desperation does things to you. It rewires your instincts. $500 for 1 night? Even if it was shady, how bad could it be? I emailed them with my number. 10 minutes later, I got a response. "You've been selected. Van will pick you up at 9:30 p.m. Bring gloves. Do not bring your phone." No name, no location, just that. I stared at the message for a while, trying to decide if it was brave or stupid to say yes. In the end, my stomach made the decision for me. At 9:27 p.m., a white van with no plates pulled up outside my apartment. The driver didn't speak. He didn't even nod, just opened the passenger door and waited. I hesitated for half a second, took one last look at my building, and got in. The van smelled like bleach and cold metal. The windows were tinted black. I couldn't see a thing outside. We drove in silence for about 45 minutes. I tried to track the turns, count the seconds between streetlights, but it all blurred. I was more tired than I realized. Then we stopped. The driver handed me a key, old and rusty, like it belonged in a 90s horror movie. "Basement door," he said flatly. "You're here till sunrise. Do not go upstairs. Tapes are in the box. Watch and clean. Leave the originals. Dump the copies." He pointed to a house in the woods. 2 stories, peeling paint, boarded windows. No cars. No lights. Just dark trees and the creak of the wind. I wanted to ask questions, but he was already rolling up the window. By the time I turned back around, the van was gone. I stood there for a moment with the key in my hand, staring at the house. This was a bad idea, but $500 was $500. I walked up the cracked stone path. The front door was chained shut. The basement entrance was around the side. Metal bulkhead doors, slightly ajar. Rusted, creaking hinges. The key fit perfectly. I stepped into the darkness. The basement smelled like mildew and dust and something faintly sweet, like rotting fruit left in the sun. A single hanging light bulb cast a sickly yellow cone in the center of the room. The walls were stone and dirt, with old insulation hanging like skin from the beams. In the corner, there was a table. On it sat a TV, a VCR, and a cardboard box full of VHS tapes. Beside it, a trash bag labeled "Copies Only." There was also a metal folding chair, the kind that digs into your back if you sit too long. He said. The chair groaned. The first tape was labeled simply 01A. I slid it into the VCR and hit play. The screen flickered. Then it showed a living room. Old, 90s style furniture. A floral couch. Wooden paneling. The footage was grainy, static-ridden. No audio. A man sat on the couch, staring straight ahead. His eyes never blinked. Not once. 5 minutes passed. 10. Nothing happened. Then suddenly he stood up, walked out of frame, and the tape ended. I ejected it and placed it aside. Next, 01B. Same room, different angle. Camera was lower this time, almost like it was placed on the ground. Same man, same couch, but this time there was movement behind him. In the mirror, someone or something was watching. When he got up again, the reflection stayed seated. I paused the tape. My skin crawled. I wasn't alone down there. I couldn't hear anything, couldn't see anything, but I could feel it. Still, I kept going. Tape after tape. 02A, 02B, 03A. Different rooms, different people. Always static, always silence, and always something wrong. One woman cried silently for 20 minutes straight. Another stood completely still while the shadows behind her moved like they had a life of their own. Tape 05B was different. It showed the basement, this basement, from the exact angle I was sitting in. Empty at first, then me, or someone who looked like me. They sat down, looked into the camera, and smiled. I hit stop. My hands were shaking. I checked the timestamp. It said 3:12 a.m. The same time it was right now. I turned around. Nothing behind me, nothing at all. But I couldn't shake the feeling I'd just been recorded. I looked at the box. Only half the tapes were gone. I thought about leaving, just walking out and taking my chances finding my way back. But I knew what the guy had said. Do not go upstairs. It didn't feel like a suggestion. I picked up the next tape. 06A. This one had sound. That was the first red flag. I pressed play. First just static, then breathing. A man's voice whispered something I couldn't make out. He was holding the camera, walking down a hallway. The lights were flickering. Then the camera turned to face him. It was me. I stared at the screen in disbelief. It was my face, my clothes, my eyes, and I was whispering, "She's in the walls." Then the tape cut to black. I shot out of the chair, looked around the room. The walls were solid, old concrete, no crawl spaces, no vents. I pressed my ear to the cold surface. Nothing. I almost didn't hear the scratching. Faint, so faint, but definitely there. Something was behind the wall. I backed away slowly. There was a door at the far end of the basement I hadn't noticed before. I wasn't going to open it, but it was open now. Just a crack. Not wide enough to see anything, but just wide enough that something could be watching me. I pulled the trash bag shut, grabbed the tapes I'd watched, and tried to make my way up the stairs to the bulkhead doors. They were locked, not from the inside, from the outside. Panic rose in my throat. I turned back to the VCR. One tape was already in it. I hadn't put it there. It was labeled in red ink. Last. I didn't want to play it, but something in me, curiosity, fear, stupidity, couldn't stop my hand from pressing play. The screen was black at first. Then text appeared. "Thank you for watching." Then a shot of the basement. Empty. Then the door at the far end opening slowly. Something stepped out, but the frame cut off the head. I couldn't see its face. It walked toward the camera. Closer, closer. I hit stop, but the screen didn't change. The figure kept coming. Closer. I hit eject. Nothing. Unplugged the TV. Still playing. Then it stopped, and the screen went dark. The chair was empty. I hadn't noticed it before. But now, it wasn't. The screen was black. The light bulb above me buzzed faintly, casting that ugly yellow circle again. I couldn't move for a full minute. My legs didn't work. My breathing was shallow, like my lungs were refusing to fill all the way. The chair, the one in the tape, the one I had just been sitting in, it was occupied. I didn't see anyone sit down, but I swear on everything, someone was sitting there. Not just someone. Me. I blinked. The chair was empty again. I turned the TV off, unplugged the VCR, and backed toward the stairs. The bulkhead doors were still chained from the outside. I rattled them, banged on them, even screamed. Nothing. Just the trees rustling outside and the echo of my own panic. I was trapped, and I still had half a box of tapes left. I didn't want to watch them. Every instinct screamed at me to leave them alone. But there was nothing else to do. No phone, no signal, no escape. Just me and the tapes. And the house. I sat back down. Not in the chair, no chance. I dragged a cinder block from the corner and perched on that. Next tape. Unlabeled. I pushed it in. Footage flickered. The screen showed a man tied to the same chair. My chair. His face was covered with a burlap sack. His head slumped forward. In the background, faint static crackled. Then movement. A figure stepped into frame. Its face was pixelated, unnaturally blurred, like something interfering with the recording itself. No features, just static where a face should be. Its head tilted to the side, like it was curious. It raised a hand. In that hand was another tape. It held it out to the bound man. The man screamed behind the sack. The tape cut off. I ripped it out and threw it across the room. I didn't want to do this anymore. I started pacing, scanning the walls for cracks, for gaps. The only way out was through the upstairs door, the one the driver had told me not to use. I looked at it again. The door at the far end of the basement, half open before, was now fully shut. That made the decision for me. I crept toward the stairs leading up to the main floor. Each step creaked like it hadn't been touched in years. The door at the top was wooden, old, peeling paint. No lock, at least from my side. I pushed it open. The house was silent. The air was heavier, thicker somehow, like the walls were soaked in something invisible. I stepped inside. Dust covered everything. Layers of it. Furniture wrapped in yellowing sheets. Picture frames turned face down. The light switches didn't work. I walked down the hallway, past the kitchen. Everything was perfectly intact. Plates stacked, a cup on the table, like someone had just stepped away and never came back. That's when I saw the Polaroids, pinned to the wall in a line. Each one showed someone sitting in that basement chair. Different people, men, women, one looked like a teenager. Every photo was dated. Each timestamp was within a day of a Craigslist post I remembered seeing over the past year. I kept walking, heart pounding. At the end of the hallway was a door. It looked like it led to the attic. Nope. I turned back toward the living room. That's when I heard it. The VCR. It was playing again. I hadn't touched it. I sprinted down the stairs, 2 at a time. The screen showed static again. Then a shot of the house. Exterior. Night vision. The timestamp was tonight. I ran back to the bulkhead doors. Pulled. Yanked. Still chained. The screen changed again. Now the shot was from inside the basement. A camera hidden in the corner. It showed me, right now, watching the tape. Except in the feed, I wasn't watching the screen anymore. I was looking at the camera, smiling. Then the screen went black. A new message appeared. You've been selected. I heard something above me. Heavy footsteps. I ran back up the stairs into the hallway. Silence. Then the sound of creaking. Not footsteps this time. Wood bending. From inside the walls. I grabbed the nearest object, a fireplace poker, and backed into the kitchen. I found a phone on the counter. Old. Corded. Yellowed with age. Dead. Of course. Then a knock. Not on the door. From the inside of the cabinet. I stared at it. Another knock. I yanked it open. Nothing. But inside, scribbled in marker, was a message. They watch what you watch. And below that, don't finish the tapes. I turned around. The TV in the living room was on. I never turned it on. It showed a different room now. Not the basement. It was a child's bedroom. Toys scattered. A rocking horse swaying back and forth on its own. Then a close-up of a child's drawing. A stick figure with a square head. Next to it, the words, "He's in the screen." I turned it off. I didn't want to be in the house anymore. Didn't want to be in my own body anymore. Everything felt wrong. My skin, the air, the space behind my eyes. Then the phone rang. The corded one. It had been dead seconds ago. I picked it up. Nothing. Then a voice. Mine. You should have left the door closed. Click. I dropped the phone. Tried the front door. It opened. The outside world was back. The woods. The night air. But the van was gone. No tire tracks. No road. Just trees. I ran anyway. Pushed through brambles. Scraped my legs raw. Kept running. Then I found the shed. Small. Rusted. Half collapsed. Inside, TVs. Rows of them. Each screen showed a room in the house. Kitchen, basement, hallway, and one, the woods, right where I stood. The screen was black. Then it lit up. Me, staring into it. The feed was live. I looked behind me. No camera, no drone, nothing. Then movement on the screen. A figure stepped out from behind a tree. No face, just static. I bolted, ran back toward the house. Didn't even think. Just instincts. I crashed through the back door, slammed it shut, bolted it with the fireplace poker, collapsed to the ground, gasping. The TVs turned off on their own. Then came a knock. Basement door. 3 slow knocks. I crept toward the stairs. This time, the door wasn't closed. It was wide open, and on the screen, a new tape had started playing. The tape had already started playing when I got back to the basement. I didn't press play. I hadn't even gone near the VCR, but the screen was glowing. First just static, then me. Not a video of me from earlier. Me right now. My face was exactly as I'd seen it in the reflection when I passed the broken mirror upstairs. Hollow, pale, eyes that weren't quite mine anymore. The video was time-stamped with the current time, down to the second. Behind me on the screen, something moved. But when I turned around, the basement was empty. I watched the screen again. The movement was closer now, still blurry, still undefined, but moving toward me, frame by frame. I turned off the VCR, unplugged it. The image kept playing. The static hum from the TV grew louder, climbing in pitch until it felt like it was inside my skull. I slammed my fist into the screen, cracked but didn't go out. The image of me stared back, bleeding slightly from the forehead now. I wasn't bleeding in real life, but I felt it. I felt something trickling. I touched my forehead. Blood. Real. The reflection was dictating reality, or predicting it. I backed away, stumbled into the shelf where the tapes had been stacked. They spilled onto the floor. Underneath, I found something else. A second box, unmarked. Inside, 8 VHS tapes, each one labeled with a name. Gregory, Melinda, Joseph, Rachel. The last one said, "No name/final." It was already in the VCR when I turned around. The screen had changed again. Now it showed the upstairs hallway. The attic door creaked open slowly, and something dropped out. At first, it looked like a bundle of blankets. Then it moved. Arms, legs, person, small, child-sized. Crawled, twitching unnaturally. Head tilted the wrong way. Turned toward the camera. No eyes, just skin where they should have been. Then it smiled. The screen cut to black. I ran back upstairs, ignoring the splinters digging into my bare feet. The attic door was closed. I grabbed the nearest thing I could, a rusty old knife from the kitchen, and yanked the attic door open. Nothing inside, just dust, and a tape recorder, still running. I pressed stop, then rewind. Clicked. I pressed play. My voice. And that's when I found the tapes. I dropped it, stared at it, listened to my own words, perfectly repeated, all the way up to the sentence I had just spoken in my head. I yanked the recorder's batteries out, kept playing. The basement TV switched on again. I ran down. On the screen, a forest clearing, a bonfire, bright, crackling, figures standing in a circle, each one holding a tape. Then one of them turned. It was me, again, smiling. I mouthed something on the screen. Couldn't hear it, but I understood. Welcome back. The feed changed. Security footage. A hospital hallway. Nurses. Beeping machines. A child's room. The label at the bottom. Patient 037. Subject exhibits full mimetic transference. The camera panned to the bed. The same child from before. Blank eyes. Still smiling. I turned the TV off. It stayed on. The screen now displayed a prompt. Insert final tape. I stared at the blank cassette in my hand. No name/final. I wanted to destroy it, burn it, crush it. But something inside me, some seed that had been planted hours ago, or maybe even years, told me that wouldn't change anything. I pushed the tape into the VCR. The screen went black. Then, a video of me, real time, standing in the basement watching the screen. Then the camera began to slowly pan around me. I wasn't holding it, but it was moving, passed behind me, showed the back of my head. Then it moved to face me again. Except, I wasn't alone anymore. A figure stood directly behind me, tall, wrapped in VHS tape like cloth, head flickering with static. It raised a hand and pressed it against the back of mine. The real me couldn't move. Cold spread through my spine like liquid nitrogen. The TV cut to black again. A message appeared. You watched. You copied. You belong. I screamed, ripped the VCR from the wall, shattered the tapes with the poker, crushed the TV until sparks burst out. Silence. The screen was dark. The house was dark. For the first time in hours, I thought maybe it was over. Then the front door opened. The white van was parked outside, the same one that brought me here. The driver stood beside it. No face, just a TV screen where his head should have been. It flickered with my face, and he spoke in my voice. You finished the job. I backed away. He didn't follow, just pointed to the back of the van. I climbed in, because what else was there to do? Inside, the walls were lined with shelves. Rows of VHS tapes, each labeled with a name. One was still being labeled. The sticker peeled off a reel and sealed on freshly with a slow, mechanical hiss. Name you. Tape hashtag 214. The door slammed shut behind me. The van pulled away, and in the quiet hum of motion, I heard the sound of the VCR spinning up again, and my voice beginning to speak.